Hey guys, welcome back to another Warframe video, and continuing our series with lore behind the frames. Today we'll be covering Nekros, as well as explaining real-world necromancy. So Nekros is your normal fantasy lich. You know, in the real-world mythology, perhaps he could have been a revenant that knows necromancy. However, that's assuming that he himself is a corpse. He could just be a living necromancer, which is just using the imagery of death to better channel. Or simply because of channeling death so deeply, it left a mark of decay on him, leaving this ghoulish or Addams Family type of look to him. But let's move on. What even is necromancy, for those of you that may not know? Because necromancy isn't how it's actually portrayed in fantasy and TV and books and video games. Necromancy is not raising zombies or corpses. Disappointing, I know. But necromancy is simply the practice and mastery of communicating with the dead. You know, implying their souls, not their corpses. However, creepily enough, one can use corpses themselves to help summon the soul one wishes to communicate with. However, that's not necessary. One question that may be bugging some of you is like, why the hell would anyone in the world ever want to do necromancy at all? And I would say the most important reason why people would be seeking communication with the dead, seeking to, master necromancy or to contact somebody that could, do it for them, is simply because that person misses the deceased, or they want closure, or to right a wrong, or they just want to know that that person still exists and is okay. It's because grief, pain, loss, basically rooted by love. That's what most people, even today, use it for. That's right, many people do necromancy to this very day. You did not hear wrong. Some that don't even know that what they're doing would be technically called necromancy. For instance, ever went to a gravestone to talk to one of your loved ones to say goodbye? Or use a Ouija board? Or hold a seance? Or ever go ghost hunting and ask a ghost to knock on something? That is technically all necromancy. By the way, a Ouija board is a real tool for communication. It's not a toy or a game. It's called a spirit board when it's not being marketed and sold as a game. It can be made of wood or stone or even etched in the cover of your spellbook. However, you could just simply use a piece of paper or skin, whatever floats your boat. However, you should be using it with a pendulum, just FYI. So, trying to talk to your deceased loved one to tell them you love them or something doesn't seem so wrong now, does it? So why are some conditioned to say necromancy is evil, you may wonder, and let me explain why. When you're a ghost, you're no longer limited by the few senses a human body has. You're now able to see more, past the veil, see the unseen. Time and space is even said to be questionable. So, being able to relay information back to the living that otherwise wouldn't have had this knowledge could give the living person, the edge in the living world. Even being able to spy on others for you and bring back intel, or perform tasks for you, or even foresee the likelihood of things to come. Necromancy being used for, these reasons scared the church, so they marked it as evil. To me, it seems like they had something to hide that they didn't want others possibly finding out about. Another reason it's marked as evil by the church is because, remember, like I said in past videos, anything that isn't in heaven or hell and walks our plane and seems like a ghost or a deity, the church is saying that that is in fact a demon or a Nephilim. Therefore, that person communicating with you over a spirit board is not your grandma, is in fact a demon. Right? At least that's what they claim. Because anything that's not on their side is evil. The thing is, some people don't need tools because they can see and hear. So wouldn't they be more knowledgeable as to just what or who they are? You know, don't you think? And I understand not everyone would believe in such things, but I ask you, is it because you've been preconditioned to believe so? Or because you yourself have never experienced anything like such? If everyone in the world was blind except you, does that mean that you're wrong and what you're experiencing isn't real because everyone else can't do the same or even comprehend when you're trying to explain color to them? Anyway, moving on to the frame for now. His passive seems to absorb life upon death from his enemies, and I wouldn't say this is revenant-ish. It's more like channeling life energy to keep someone or something away from death, or push something else towards death if they don't have protections in place. This may be a little bit more advanced energy manipulation. However, I feel that many necromancers would have at least attempted this at some point, if not just completely mastered it from constantly doing it. His first ability, Soul Punch, is very silly at first glance. However, it isn't wrong. So, understanding energy manipulation, souls, life energy, essence of death, and what tethers one to a body, one in theory could bump a soul out of a living body. And a necromancer could also trap a soul and force it to do things for them. However, this would be evil. His next ability, Terrify, is, you know, your typical Death Knight or Lich or Warlock is fear from, you know, fantasy games. However, I think it's safe to assume that without understanding what necromancy is all about, another person would likely misjudge and be fearful of that said person. As I think most people that can't see ghosts would be terrified when confronted with someone that is said to be able to not only see ghosts, but can summon ghosts. And even if they don't believe that that's possible, the fact that that other person thinks it's possible will probably creep them the fuck out, right? It will terrify them. His next ability is Desecrate, and well, it seems like Nekros isn't a very respectful necromancer. Like, the majority of necromancers are more likely to treat a ghost like a living person, if not nicer than the living, to be honest. But Nekros seems to have no respect whatsoever, perhaps because they are his enemies? Anyway, having a personal item or items that was on the body when it passed would make it easier to call forth that soul, as well as control them if the necromancer wanted to. So this is still in line with lore, as well as how things are said to be done in reality. His final move, Shadow of the Dead, I pretty much already covered, but let's just go through really quick. So necromancers can summon souls. Necromancers can trap souls as well, and then therefore control them. However, controlling someone's will and trapping them is immoral, so it's evil and cruel. So all in all, he seems to be pretty accurate to a necromancer. But let's add some closing notes here real quick. So whether or not you believe ghosts and communication with them is real or not, it can give many peace of mind when a loved one is lost, you know, the will to press on when it seems like emptiness to the rest. You know, this is the gift of necromancy that many games and shows and books always fail to address, and they just make it some creepy thing that the bad guy is doing. I guarantee you that it has saved lives and helped heal hearts and give people closure and peace of mind, when the alternative would have been pretty dire, let's just say. And I know from first-hand experience because I've been there a lot of times myself, including recently. And without necromancy, I would say that life would be unbearable sometimes. But with it, it is absolutely a gift. Anyway, I guess that's about it for this one. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you next time.